You're not sick, Amelia, no.
No?
No, you little farsighted.
This is the Farsighted Network.
This is the Farsighted Network.
This is the Farsighted Network.
Thanks for listening.
Enjoy the show! Woo!
Super.
Great.
Maybe.
Well, yeah. Well, so thanks a lot for taking the time to talk with me, Alejandro. I appreciate it.
Thank you too.
So I watched your film and I immediately jumped out to the reps and was like, I want to talk to this guy, but not just for 10 minutes, okay? Because usually that's what they have, is like these 10-minute slots. And the reason is, just give you a little background about who I am and why your film's so interesting to me. I'm a pastor's kid. I grew up in faith, but I'm a diehard horror guy. Now, I'm not necessarily Catholic, but I grew up in a Catholic town, so I have a lot of experience with Catholicism. My mom is actually a Baptist pastor, so I grew up raised in the Baptist faith. So that's kind of me. And so as someone who's really interested in horror and film and genre film in general, but I'm a big horror guy, films about exorcism, about faith things always interest me. And I love how the horror genre doesn't back away from the stuff the church is afraid to talk about, the demonic stuff and all that. We believe in it as a church, but we're afraid to talk about it. So it's nice to have horror films that'll talk about it for us, Yeah. So that's kind of what really got me is I was really on the hook right away.
Great.
For that reason.
Great. That's amazing, man. Well, I'm going to be here to share all the experience and everything about the film, and very excited to talk about it with someone especially like you.
That's awesome. So before we even dive right there, let me start with you. Tell me a little bit about your, you as a filmmaker, how you got to this project, and maybe a little bit about your influence of what drew you to this topic matter.
Okay. Well, I started my film career basically 12 years ago when I started developing a few independent and student short films that I'm not proud to show and to share right now, but they teach you a lot, and they gave me a lot of passion for film projects. So basically, 10 years ago, I shot my first feature film. It was called The House at the End of Time. And as soon as I released it in Venezuela, it became a huge box office success. The film stayed, it was screened for 9 months in movie theaters just because people never stopped attending the screenings, and that was crazy. We had only 25 screenings against Hollywood horror movies like they usually have between 70 to 100. And we became the highest grossing horror film in the story of my country, Venezuela. And also the film started to find its own international audience. I participated in several fantastic film festivals. We got a lot of awards, and that's when I had my first experience working with sales agents. And basically, they distribute and sell the movie in a lot of territories, and the film also became like the most worldwide distributed Venezuelan film in the world. So after this happened, I got an offer from New Line Cinema to remake that film, and with me attached as a director. That's why I moved to Los Angeles for 4 years. I was working in this project. We were in development, but this development became development hell. And the remake didn't happen with New Line. It was very sad. The project came back to me. I am developing that project now. And in the meantime, I think I had a little bit of bad luck in the industry because I was selected like in 3 amazing projects. And when all of them were about to find the green light, they fall apart. And it is very frustrating sometimes, the projects in the industry, because it's like Guillermo del Toro. Guillermo del Toro says that the natural state of every movie is that it won't happen, So in the meanwhile, what I was struggling with these projects, I told myself like, okay, you need to make something by yourself. You need to be on set and you need to shoot a movie. And I had this screenplay saved in a box, and I took it back and I started to rewrite it. I found in private equity, private investment on the movie. So I co-wrote it with an Argentinian writer. I developed it, I produced it, and I also work as a director in the movie. And now I'm feeling very, very excited with the result because I feel it's a very shocking, powerful horror movie, and it's getting amazing results in the Latino box office. We were in the number one in Brazil, number two in Colombia, number three in Mexico, four Argentina, and Venezuela is the number two. So I am quite excited, and now I'm just crossing fingers for the American audience to enjoy the movie. I feel we are in great hands with Saban Films, XYZ, the sales agents, and also Lionsgate, who will release the film on Blu-ray. And you asked me about why I wanted to talk about this matter.
Yeah, so that's a great background of like how you got to where you're at with this project, and then like further, like, so then this project, you said you kind of had it there already, you had it tucked away, ready to do.
Yeah.
Are you the writer of this project as well?
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought so. I just want to make sure I didn't forget.
Okay. Yeah.
So that makes this question even more relevant. Is like, what inspired this project as far as writing it, doing it? Were you brought up in faith? I know Venezuela is a very Catholic country.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I'm just curious.
Yeah. Well, basically, I was raised Catholic, and I watched several horror movies that traumatized me for a long time. When I was a kid, I even watched alone The Exorcist when I was only 10 to 11 years old, and I really got traumatized.
Might be a bit young for that one, buddy. That's rough. I wasn't ready for 10 to 11.
Yeah, I wasn't. I remember I had a baby Jesus little sculpture with me, and I was sleeping and praying to him all night because I really felt afraid. It was really terrifying, But these traumas, with time, they became like my devotion and passion for the genre. I feel the genre has an amazing cinematic language just to play with expectations and with emotional impacts, and just to bring a huge amount of adrenaline to the audience. And you can take that entertainment to tell the stories full of meaning and value. And from my side, I stopped being a Catholic person. I follow a lot of Catholic principles, like I really believe in Jesus like a master, like a philosopher, even like a messiah who broke a very important message to humankind. Basically, the message we are still needing right now, even with a moment with war and all this stuff. And basically, Jesus said something like, love the other ones as you love yourself. And basically, I feel that is a statement of everything. Like, you don't need 10 rules from the church with that statement, because if you love others as yourself, you wouldn't kill, you wouldn't envy, you wouldn't have bad thoughts, you never will steal anything. Um, so I try to do that as much as I can, And in this story, I wanted to broaden my passion for the genre and to make something really full of scary and amazing moments of horror. But I also wanted to use the Catholicism as a tool to share a story full of meaning and value that talks about the evolution of a human. Yeah, I wanted to make a human story. And basically, I feel like the most powerful stories are the ones that presents a very powerful dilemma, an internal conflict. The character needs to make a final decision. He's constantly get pressure, and in the highest moment of climax, he has to make a final decision that will reveal his true human nature. And the final dilemma on the exorcism of God is, what is most important to you? To to your faith for God, for the creator of the universe, or your love for your children. And that is a very tough dilemma, you know.
Oh
So
yeah.
so basically, that is like the essence of the story that I wanted to bring to a movie that apparently is just about entertainment, amazing horror, but there is a message beyond that.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of really interesting things you did in the movie, and paced really well. I really enjoyed the film, but of course, like the subject matter is what draws me in. Like I said, you know, while I was never raised Catholic. I grew up in a little Italian Catholic town in North Jersey, here in the States. You know, a little mafia town. If you've watched The Sopranos, you've seen where I've grown up, because that's where I grew up, right around there. But you know, so Catholicism was really around me wherever I was, and so I went to, you know, a lot of first communions and a lot of confirmations growing up. So I experienced that, and I was always interested in while the core tenets like you talk about of Jesus, you know, saying love one another, love everybody. That's kind of the message of Jesus, and that's really to me what being a person of faith is about now. For me, I also am not big on doctrine and dogma and these rules, that rules, but that's my rule too. I want to try my best to love other people, because to me that's what it's about. But that said, I've always been really interested in the dogma, in the doctrine, and seeing, you know, what's divine and what's man-made and where that all kind of works together. And I always have been interested in the idea of spiritual warfare and the demonic, because if I don't necessarily believe in these specific rites and rules, I do believe there's some demonic forces out there. I've felt them in my life.
Oh, really?
You know, so maybe not to the extent that I've seen someone possessed in that way, like in a possession movie, but you know, we've all seen some shit, experienced some shit, so we know, you know, there's something evil out there, even if it's just the evil within man, and so it's really interesting to see that wrestled with in a film like this, and also really interesting to see that wrestled with within characters that are supposed to be the divine characters. They have wrestled with their own demons, whether those demons were projected on them or from inside, you know. And I think that your film is really interesting in there, in as we learn more about our characters, and I'm not going to spoil anything here, but as we learn more about our characters, some of the things that have happened in their past that they have and haven't divulged to each other. And I find that really powerful, because it's important, I think, to always recognize that these church leaders are still humans. And, you know, and obviously here in America, we've experienced church leaders being a lot of bad things coming out about the things priests have done in the past. And, you know, it hit home close here in the Archdiocese of Philadelphia. I live in the Philadelphia area. They got hit with some stuff, and Scranton, some of the other dioceses near us. And so I see that, and I'm, you know, and so I know it's obviously real, but in this particular instance, what's really interesting is you have a character who is generally good. It is good, motivated, and trying to, but that doesn't mean there aren't those demons, you know?
Exactly.
I really like that. So kind of on that note, and some of the demons, as well as some of the stuff going on with the exorcism itself and exorcisms in the film, the title's really interesting, The Exorcism of God. Without giving away the whole crux of the film, that's a spoiler, can you talk a little bit about why the film is called The Exorcism of God?
Yeah, for sure. I think we in some way exorcise or expel God from our body when we fall into darkness and we commit a sin. You know, so I wanted to talk about possession as a metaphor of how we are possessed ourselves by our own God, by our own light, by our own love, or we are possessed by our temptations, by our sins and our bad actions. You know, and basically that is connected with everything you said. You know, like with this movie, we try to reflect and to show or to talk about the divorce that sometimes exists between the faith and spirituality against religion. Because religion can offer you amazing tools to connect with the spirituality and to connect really with God. But as you said, they are still being humans, and especially in the Catholicism, well, we have on the human history just one big piece of a story called the Dark Ages, that is basically 10 centuries where the human was basically controlled by a tyrant church, you know, and also at this point we are in the year 2022. Even that right now we have a pope that in some ways he appears to, he looks like he's a very open-minded person and he's talking about inclusion, and that's good. We are still seeing that the church hasn't approved, for example, the gay marriage. So in any place where I see there is discrimination, I don't find God in there. I find God in love. I find God in compassion. And I feel like one of the subjects of this movie is the forgiveness, redemption. And I feel like the forgiveness and redemption to others, even to ourselves, is like the most powerful manifestation of love, and also that connects us with God, with this like energy that create everything and that make us brothers. And I have only one different with you, is like I don't truly believe in demons. I believe in demons when I watch movies and I am immersed in a universe. Like I feel there is like a negative energy, and I feel like when the people fall into unconscious and they make bad actions, and they don't think about it, and they don't have compassion, and they kill other people, or they rape, or they do something really wrong. Yeah, there is something that is controlling them, and there is an energy that they connect that is not a positive energy. But I don't believe like in the hell or in the demons or in the devil. I believe they are very frightening creations of the human mind. This is my feeling, okay? Because I always respect the feelings and the beliefs of other people. But I love horror movies, and when I see, or I love fantasy. If I'm watching Lord of the Rings, I love to watch Dark Lord Sauron. I love the elves or the dragons. When I watch a horror movie like The Exorcist, I love that the demons exist in there. I feel they are part of the principle for the genre. So basically, I wanted to work with the Catholicism and the demons as a metaphor to talk about human things. So basically, that's my final statement about it.
Yeah, no, it's great. And describing how my particular beliefs are is difficult for me because I don't actually believe in a literal hell. I don't know that I believe in a devil per se. And when I say demons, I don't know if they're literal or if it's in our psyche and something that comes out. I don't know exactly what I believe in, what a demon is. I just know that I feel evil forces out there, whether or not those evil forces are just evil in man. I mean, and so I don't really know, but that said, and just like I don't believe in a literal heaven and a literal hell, in the way that we're taught when we're kids, that heaven's up there and hell's down there. No, I don't believe in that, but I do believe there's some form of afterlife, and despite, I don't even use the term Christian, but I would say I am a Christian in that I believe the basic tenets of the Christian faith. Yeah. But I'm a very universalist type Christian, whereas I don't believe that Jesus is the way. I believe he's a way, Yeah.
I am totally on the same page with you. Like I follow the Christian principles, but then find another religions or another philosophies or spiritual connections like Buddhism, for example. Yeah, I find very interesting things that give me peace. and I think God is about that, you know.
Right. Well, and I for Buddhism's a great example because I have never met a Buddhist who was mean to me in my life. So I don't know. I'm just saying. I met a lot of Christians who were pretty damn mean to me. I'm not gonna lie. But but I say that just to say that like I definitely see the one of the interesting things that I think is a really good way that your movie wrestles with kind of what's real, what's man-made, what's faith, what's actually, you know, out there. There's and your film is not the only one to do this, but I think you do it really well. Is there's often in the exorcism, even in the actual rites, there's this idea that sometimes in order to save the person you're exorcising of this demon, you actually, as a priest, lose your own soul.
Yeah.
And to the extent that like you will go to hell and you're trading your soul for theirs. And not that it's always that literal. I don't think your film's that literal to say it, but it wrestles with that idea. And it's sometimes understanding, are you willing to give up your very soul, your very afterlife, because you care about your fellow human? And that's really interesting. And I think your film wrestles with that really well when you get to those climactic moments, even in more than one occasion, because you have a priest who may or may not be willing to sacrifice himself for another priest. And then you have what happens beyond that. So there's just a lot going on with that theme. And I really like how you do that. Was that intentional? Was that kind of a theme you wanted to wrestle with?
Yeah, part of the team when I was talking about the dilemma, this demon is always looking to break your faith and your soul, and always will bring to the table another solution, that is by making a deal. And basically in that deal, you can resign to everything, you know, like for Peter, that's the thing. Like, what is the most important for him? Like, to defend God's principles, or just to protect his sons, his children, you know, like, and that's tough because basically we are God in the eyes of our children. Like, our children loves us, we love them, and I don't want to spoil too many details about the movie.
I got you. Yeah. But that makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
But Peter is in a very tough position because he fell in temptation. He committed a terrible sin, and he has been trying to redeem himself by giving charity or sharing humanitarian aid with people in need or sick children. And then the demons comes back to his life by possessing Esperanza. And the only way he has to exorcise her is by confessing his sin and connecting with the God again. But if he does that, he will be excommunicated. He will lose the home he loves, and also he won't be able to give this humanitarian aid and give hope and help to all these people in need. So what is the right decision? I always love stories charged with ambiguity.
Right. And well, you know, and his dilemma is actually not unlike another Peter Parker. I think about Spider-Man. Well, because you think about in his origin story, not even just on film and comics, film, whatever, you know, when his high school sweetheart is hanging there ready to die, and he has to choose between her and a busload of people. Do I save all these hundreds of people or this one person I love? And how do you do that? And that's kind of the same thing that our priest here is wrestling with, you know, is one versus all the other people I can help. And then there's also wrapped up in it, and then where does my own personal soul and salvation fall in? I wanted to ask you a little bit about, you know, veering away from just this part of the conversation into the actual actors and folks you worked with. I was very pleasantly surprised to see Jeffrey Butler of Fresh Prince fame as one of your head priests, and obviously some of the other actors are lesser known, but some of them been in a million other things that I haven't seen. But I was just curious, how did the cast come about? Were any of them specifically people you were looking for, or was it all through casting? Like, how did that all happen?
No, I as soon as I finished the screenplay and we start like the soft pre-production, we need to find the faces for these characters, and Will Beinbrink was the chosen one for Father Peter Williams. He was a recommendation from a friend, a great producer, a very successful producer. She's called Barbara Muschetti. She's the producer of It Chapter 2, and The Flash. And he worked on It Chapter 2. He made a very small but powerful role. He was the husband of Jessica Chastain.
I knew I recognized him, and I was struggling with it. Thank you.
Yeah, he was her husband. And also I watched some like TV shows he did. He made an audition for us, and the result was amazing. And he was an amazing actor. He was always connected with the characters, suffering the guilt he had. Every time I was on set, I was looking at him walking from one side to the other, punching walls and screaming in anger because he was like living the character, and that was very, very nice. And I feel that we everybody can tell that on the big screen. And also, Joseph Marcel was a big surprise. From the day one, we developed this character on the paper. This character was full of comedy, was full of humor and comments that will make you to bring a laugh. So,
and it's like it's a natural humor too, right? Like so it's because it's not like this is not a comedy by any stretch, this movie, but you have this guy who naturally is funny, played by a guy who naturally is known for being able to bring a smile to anyone's face. So that really worked.
Yeah. I wanted to add some humor to the story, to refresh it, and to make people to have fun, like and to relieve the tension. So Father Michael was always full of like black humor and comments, and so the first actor who was in talking with us for this role was Eric Roberts, but we didn't find a way to make the schedule work with him. He was very busy. So
he's in like 400 movies a year, I think. So I mean,
the actor with the biggest amount of movies,
It's insane.
So this wasn't a recommendation from one of my agents, who is his friend. And I think he was great. I was concerned that basically I only saw him performing comedy on The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, but then I found out that he is a play theater actor. Basically, that is his main profession. He has a play theater company in London. He has played like basically all the most important roles from Shakespeare, and he has a big presence. So I think it was great also to have some inclusion, to have like a multicultural characters cast on the movie by making a film in Latin America in a woman prison with an American priest and another one from the UK, but black. So I think it was great. And also we work with some Mexican local talent like Magali, who is Iran Castillo. She's very popular because she has made so many TV shows and movies and soap operas in Mexico. And also I invite a few Venezuelan very talented actors. So we develop a multicultural talent, and I feel like they did an amazing job, and the characters came to life.
Yeah, I agree. And I was going to note about you had a diverse cast, which was cool. Here in America, I think of the Catholic Church as very, very stuffy and white. And I always forget that that's just here. That's not the Catholic Church here. The Catholic Church is everywhere. And so obviously people don't all look like stuffy white folk. And so I appreciate that we had a variety of different folks from, a very traditional American looking, priest. He looked to me like a priest that I would have seen down the street at the church that I grew up near. But then, having Joseph Marcel, having, Hispanic talent, from Mexican talent, like you said, that really helped me in seeing, the diversity of the church, which is something I think we don't always see. especially in exorcist films in the English language, exorcism films in the English language tend to be all white folks. When we get to see any other faith-based films that have non-white folks, they tend not to be in the Catholic Church, or they tend not to be American. So, I mean, that's,
Yeah. And also by shooting the film in Mexico, we achieved two things. Like, basically, to complete a film with a very good production value, that basically with the budget we had, 1.3 million, it will have been impossible to make a great movie like this in America, where the costs are way higher. And also, we had the opportunity to have a different and unique special setting, like this very isolated town full of trees, surrounded by a forest, the street towns, the church that is very old, is like an ancient monastery from the 1600 year, it was great. It was great.
It's awesome. So obviously, you said that the film's already had a good reception in Spanish-speaking countries, several. Where has it opened?
It opened for the very first time in Brazil and Argentina at the same time. In Brazil, we get the first position from the very first day. The Brazilian audience has been amazing, and the people has connected really well with the movie. I mean, like, the most of people is very excited and shocked and happy with the film. We have also another audience that they hate the movie. Basically, some of them are like sensitive to the religions thing or to horror, But yeah, I'm very, very happy with the numbers we have been getting, and now I just can't wait to see how the American audience is going to respond.
And so, remind me, when does it open here?
March 11th, next week.
I was gonna say, so by the time this comes up, basically right around now, because that's roughly when this should go up, a day or two before that. So there you go. So people are watching this interview. It should be available to see now. So that's awesome. Very cool. And I definitely recommend it. And is there anything else you want to share about the film? About what you're working on next, anything, or where people can, follow you to see what's going on?
Yeah, well, my Instagram account is Ale Hidalgo Films. Ale Hidalgo Films. The movie one is The Exorcism of God. And I just want to invite people to watch this movie, especially if you have the chance to watch it on the big screen. The experience is going to be huge. The sound design, the music, the special effects. I feel that the theater is going always to be the best place to get immersed into the experience, and to enjoy a story, and also screaming and laughing with other people around you is so cool, because people is connected in the same frequency. And I'm working in several projects. The next one, I'm crossing fingers to be the remake of my first feature film, The House at the End of Time. That is a story with a huge twist that is so emotional, so powerful, and also scary, that I feel it deserves an American remake with a higher production value than my first feature film. And also, I'm attached in a couple of projects. One of them is called God Pool, and it takes place in a very unique place on Earth that is called Tayos Caves in Ecuador. That is basically like an alien place with the stalagmites and a very deep cave with some lakes. So I'm very excited to shoot that adventure horror movie soon.
Very cool, awesome. And your original Spanish language version of House at the End of Time, is that something people can watch?
It is available on Amazon Prime. You can watch it over there. Yeah.
So if people can't wait for the remake and they want to see it now, but then they should then go see the remake after that comes out too, so they can see.
Yeah, crossing fingers for that. The reviews, have been amazing. We were in Netflix for 4 years with amazing comments. So yeah, if you have a chance to take a look on Amazon, I think you will love the movie.
Awesome. Well, thanks a lot, man, and I appreciate the time to talk. Sometime we'll have to talk more about your future movies, and maybe just more about other movies you love or whatever. So
I hope we make another interview very soon with my next project. Thank you so much for this invitation. I really had a very nice time.